running at super speed at such a small size. You should look at the brand new Spin Master Toys The Flash movie, The Flash. Supervillains don't stand a chance against the Flash action figures. Sprint into action with the Flash 4-inch movie action figure assortment. Each figure comes with 11 points of articulation and detailed movie styling that brings your favorite Flash figures to life. Taking a stop off the Speed Force for a second, I'd like to first thank the folks over at Spin Master Toys that did provide the sample of the brand new 4-inch Flash movie figures that we could have a look at in this review. Over the next series of reviews, in fact, we're going to be looking at some more Flash movie figures, so if that's the kind of thing that you guys would like to come back to this channel for, jump then back onto the Speed Force and come along for the ride. Grabbing now the tape measure just to see how tall the Flash figure stands. Right to the very top of the head I go. You're looking at a figure that's about 4 inches in height, give or take, and that works out to be a figure that's about 10 centimeters tall. Not only packing a lot of posability, but the Flash movie figure also comes included with Speed Force effects that you can clip onto either his wrists or his legs. I suppose it doesn't really matter necessarily. You get 2 of them, and looking at them, they seem to be very similar in design. In fact, if I was to line them up, they sometimes do these in movies when they line up some of these fingerprints, and it's an identical match. I would be safe to say that probably the forensics computer would be able to say that that's 100% a match. Either way, they're made of translucent plastic. They're not super soft in nature, but you can easily take your Flash figure and you can clip them either on. You only have this much space to work with. Choose for yourself if you want to clip it onto either his ankles, or you can also clip it onto his wrists. I guess you really could clip one in one area and then one on the other. One thing also that's good about these as well is that if you have them on the legs, for example, as I did at the beginning of this review, and say, for example, you have your Flash in a pose, and you don't necessarily have a display stand you can make use of, those effects actually help to sort of serve as a sort of a stabilizing tripod, sort of the back of it, and becoming a part that actually sort of makes shifts as a heel for the back of Flash's feet. So I like the idea of actually doing that. Now, of course, yeah, you do have the use of pickles in the undersides of his feet. So if you have yourself a display stand, though one is not included with the Scarlet Speedster, simply just attach that onto the bottoms of his feet, and you're good to go. Standard diameter pegs, by the way, on these displays, or on the holes, of course, on the bottoms of his feet. Getting a closer look at the Flash now. You know, I gotta say, I really like the sizing and styling that they put into these pieces. For their size, really, they're fairly detailed-looking recreations of what the characters will look like in the movie. Flash, while not being a big fan of his particular suit, gotta say, it looks nice. Here's a smaller 4-inch figure. Of course, with its small size also goes along small, tiny little details that the tiny little artists, I'm supposing they're probably tiny, not so tiny, but would have to then go in there and either print it by machine or print it by hand, either way. The fact that they end up putting in pupils for a face this small, you really have to commend them for that. Of course, you got some lightning effects that have been painted in gold on the side of his face. He's got some equally nice gold printed across the front of his chest as well. And while maybe the front of the emblem is overlooking a little bit of extra color, I think that probably would have been white, then with of course, a gold thunderbolt in the front of it. They decided in this case only to paint it all in gold, but again, for the size of what this figure actually is, it's a pretty nicely painted figure. Paint's really clean on this also as well. Places that I would imagine would have been messy on this figure, like his belt or even any of the little electricity lines running on the front of his body, you would imagine that those would be the things that would be the most likely to be messy or dirty or, you know, again, just miss the mark altogether. Not the case at all. Figure looked quite good, even down on the sides of his legs where the panel lining seems to be the smallest. What's rather interesting about this figure, and I'm sure, accidentally they painted the entire boot gold. Now, I think in the movie, he actually would have had multiple panels making up his boots. And I gotta say, like that's a happy little accident. I much prefer, I think, Flash having gold boots, all gold boots, than having just like little panels that make up what should be suggested boots instead. So I kind of like the idea that they would have painted it all in gold instead. Kind of wish he would have had that a little bit in the movie as well. Now, again, for its size, this figure has packing a lot of posability going for him. I mean, obviously, when we can start things first, we'll look at the head sculpt. The head rotates all the way around. It's on a ball joint after all. You can have the head looking up, but it only looks up so far. It can also look down. It seems to look a little bit further down a lot better. You can also rock the head back and forth. And if you're thinking for a second you may have missed the posability, you really aren't. I mean, that's as much as I can actually do with this. You can also rotate the head all the way around as well. For the shoulders are on hinge joints. Not only allows for a very high reach on Flash's arms, but you can also take those same arms, and rotate them all the way around as well. The figure does have a swivel in his forearm, which also serves as well to be an elbow joint for the figure's arms. There's no articulation here for the hands, which is fine. There's no waist articulation again, which is fine. And then when it comes to the legs seem to be attached via ball joints. Just below that, actually, 3/4 of the way up the thigh, there's also a swivel cut, so you can rotate that all the way around. Figure possesses only just a single hinge in the lower leg, but also allows the lower leg to rotate back and forth as well. You know, again, overall, it's a nicely colored figure. And again, I'm impressed by how small this guy turned out to be, that he actually managed to have pretty cleanly applied paint. Again, like nowhere on the figure am I seeing anything that would have been in, they may have made a mistake right there. No, not the case at all. He's pretty well painted all around. There are, again, few little areas that missed their mark, just only by a little bit. Again, like this probably should have been all white with, again, like the gold lightning bolt in the middle. Instead, they only painted it all in gold. And again, a little happy accident on their part. I actually kind of like the idea that the boots are all gold. I wish that the movie could have carried over that as well. And of course, along with that, you also have yourself the Speed Force effects, which again, you can either clip onto his legs or clip onto his arms. I think for the purpose of displaying Flash, I'm going to be clipping them, I think, onto his legs. And while he doesn't come included with a display stand, no. He does have at least the means to stand fine. If you did want to put him in a running pose, though, you always have the option of getting yourself a display stand made by another company and simply just attaching to the undersides of his feet. Or again, like if you wanted to have him in a running pose, for example, you can also then use those Speed Force effects sort of as a balancing agent to help stabilize the figure. Preventing the figure from falling over. Yes, indeed. I'm quite impressed with how Spin Master's 4-inch Flash turned out. The paint well handled, and maybe the back of the body probably could have used a little bit of the gold paint. You can probably see as the figure spins around, there is no gold panel lining on the back of his torso, but it's on the front, and that's the part I think that matters the most. It's also painted, of course, on the emblem on the front of his chest, which I may have also said in this review. It's a thunderbolt. There's no such thing as a thunderbolt. A lightning bolt there on, obviously, the front of his chest. Overall, again, for a figure this size, the fact that they're able to pack this figure with as much posability as they do, add Speed Force effects, and paint such a small figure as well as they did, job well done to the folks over at Spin Master Toys. If you guys are interested to pick this one up for yourself, I think the Flash figures are now starting to pop up in retail stores and online. If you guys are interested to pick these up leading up to, of course, the release of the Flash movie, I'm pretty excited for that. Big thank you once again to the folks over at Spin Master Toys that did provide this sample of the brand new Flash movie Flash 4-inch figure that we could have a look in this review. I had to also add that it was a 4-inch figure. The reasoning why is because, of course, they also took the time to include some vehicles with a shipment over to me. He also sent over some larger scale figures. So there's going to be quite a lot of Flash movie figures coming up onto this channel. The key to making sure that you're not missing out on any of that, first of all, if you didn't mind me saying, if you enjoyed the video, just finished watching, why not throw it a like? Throw it a like. Why not? Also, as well, if you are new to this channel and you're enjoying the content that you're seeing, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and that you're also turning on the bell notification. As already alluded, we are, of course, going to be looking at some more Flash movie figures in the pipeline, so make sure you're coming back to the channel on a regular basis. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.